I'm here, I'm live, I've got Zeno Clash II. I hope you're all excited for this run. First of all, awesome work on the previous run. Fair did a great job, and it was a really fun run to watch. But yeah, so tonight I am going to be showing you all Zeno Clash II, and fun fact, I think this is the first time this run has ever been at an event, so that's cool and exciting. And yeah, it's a really niche speed run. Not very many people run it, but it's one of my favorite games, and so I randomly picked it up like a year or so ago. And yeah, so I figured I can go ahead and get started and talk about it along the way. So time is going to start when I press an input here on single player game, and it is going to end the moment the final boss's health bar disappears at the final fight. So I'm going to go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so right here at the beginning there is a cutscene that is a very, very brief summary of the events of the first game, but I can actually do some blind movement here using audio cues, because I can actually freely move during this segment, but I don't want to move too far or else it is a soft lock. And this game is a very interesting first-person brawler with really surreal world and character design, and right here at the very beginning I am going to be getting in a fight at a bar. Right, it's a very action-packed right off the start. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bad sportsman-like move there and get a hit on him really early. And the controls of this game are extremely interesting because I can use my left and right fist separately. Oh, I ran out of stamina. That's sort of the thing I'm trying to avoid in this fight. I have a stamina meter that is actually invisible during this segment for whatever reason. And there is 4 people. Okay, hold on. Sorry. It's very high focus right off the start here. But essentially I'm trying to do one very particular combo, and I don't think I've gotten it off one single time. So let's see if I can do it here. Nope. It's a little bit finicky and delay heavy with the inputs, so it can be pretty tough. Alright, lost stamina again. Wait for it to come back. There, I finally got the combo off literally the last hit of the fight. Okay, so bar fight's over. We start off with violence, so I'm just going to continue here to the next area. So a good portion of the speedrun is just optimizing this combat and managing my stamina. Now that I left the bar, you can see on the top left that I have 3 meters, which are my health, my rage meter, and my stamina. Stamina is the one I'm going to be keeping my eye on for most of the game. Just because a lot of this game is just sprinting as much as possible, because obviously sprinting is faster than walking. So yeah, I'm going to be managing my stamina to try and make sure I can sprint as much as possible. Okay, so I'm going to move over here, tell this guy to leave me alone. What that character is actually introducing in the game is the companion mechanic. So in the game, you can get friends to come with you, but I don't have a high enough leadership skill, because instead of spending my skill point on leadership, I'm going to spend it on strength, because that is the thing that helps us win fights faster. Okay, so yeah, a little bit about the lore of this game. So this game takes place within a world called Zenozoik, which is a place where everybody lives in a very strange, anarchic society. And as a result of the events of the first game, a character named the Golem has basically instituted law and imposed laws on these people that did not have them before. And so he built this jail, and a lot of people in Zenozoik are not chill with that idea. They are this guy's coming in and changing their way of life. They're okay being weirdos who live their life who they want to live. And so Gat, our protagonist, is trying to figure out a way to stop the Golem. Oh god, that guy is being a real big butthead. That usually doesn't happen. So I'm breaking into the jail to break out Father Mother, who was sort of the antagonist of the first game, but turns into a companion this game. So as you can see, I'm doing this little punch with my movement. that is to actually expend extra stamina. Because once your stamina completely empties, the screen goes gray like this, and then your stamina refills very, very quickly. So I'm going to be manipulating that to fill up my stamina quickly. Okay, this fight is very strange. I have this gun, and I'm going to get a few shots off on this guard, and we got good RNG, which is really nice. I've been having really bad luck here lately. Sometimes one of those little, the enforcers will get stuck on some terrain and not come down here, and you have to kill him to move on. So I'm actually taking an alarming amount of damage on this fight, so I'm going to try to play it a little safe here. Okay, and now I just want to make sure my hammer doesn't break. There are guns and weapons in this game, but they have very low durability. Okay. But I can use up all but one tick of my durability there, and then going into the cutscene actually resets my durability, which lets me keep the hammer into the next fight. The weapons are extremely, extremely powerful, but yeah, like I said, the guns don't have much ammo, and the melee weapons break after a couple uses. The game really wants you to punch stuff with your fists. Okay, so we broke out of jail. I saw there was a question in chat about the female protagonist. There is Rimat, who you see in some cutscenes, who's Gat's sister. She's playable in the co-op mode, and she is also, you can bring her into fights as an NPC as well. So she's not like the main playable character, but she's the secondary protagonist of this game. She was actually a villain in the first game as well. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this hammer up to the next fight and try to avoid a soft lock. In this game, if you try to skip some cutscenes too quickly, it will, not really soft lock, but it will prevent you from being able to skip the cutscene, which is really slow. So I'm going to be taking this hammer and trying to get as many, like, multi-hits with it as possible to clean up lots of enemies at once. Alright, hammer broke. So as you can see, yeah, there's not a whole lot of durability on that weapon. Now, I can get friendly fire by Father Mother here, so I'm going to try and avoid that, if at all possible, and just try and clean up these enemies. Every time you see me do a two-handed attack like that one, it uses part of my rage meter. Those attacks are really fast and really high damage, so I'm going to be using them basically whenever I get the chance. Squish lock, yes, Pakal, squish lock. Yeah, there is friendly fire from AI. I can damage them and they can damage me, and that can be pretty tough to manage. Okay, so now we're gonna run. We got out of town, broke out of prison, and now we're on the run. Even worse for weapon durability than Breath of the Wild. Yeah, extremely worse. Okay, so that fight actually went pretty well. Basically, that fight is mostly just, it's pretty set. The most it can slow down is by just not getting many good hits with the hammer. So I'm just going to punch this random NPC and steal his gun. He's very kind to hang on to it for us for this next fight. Alright, so I'm going to do another stamina reset there. I'm throwing my weapon just so that I have some, like, you know, some space in front of me so I can do a little charge attack, which is a really efficient way of blasting through that last little bit of stamina. Yeah, Evan in the chat is right. Enemies can also damage each other. It's something that is pretty difficult to manipulate, but when it happens, it can be extremely, extremely useful. The enemies get they aggro on each other, like, really easily, sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to trigger this cutscene and skip it, and then clean up these guys. So as you can see there on the screen, there's an option to add ally, and I haven't been doing it because there is a cooldown. I just got shot. There's a cooldown between times that you can summon allies. They have to, like, recover their health. Okay, so this guy is being a jerk. Is he still alive? No. Okay, just trying to clean up these guys as fast as possible, and then very importantly, take this gun that that enemy dropped, because this is gonna be a gun that is extremely helpful for the next split. Okay, so we got Father Mother in his hideout, and now I'm trying to find more allies to help fight Golem, who has effectively instituted himself as like a leader. And Gat and a bunch of other people are super not chill with that. So, okay, I'm gonna throw my gun, take this, look at the moon. This is introducing our first of the artifacts that we'll be able to equip and use in combat. This is a really cool mechanic, I think, this Sun-Moon Gauntlet. Basically, as you saw me do there, I can take out the gauntlet, point at the sun or the moon, and then we'll create like a artillery line, sort of, between where I was, basically based on where I'm looking. That's something that does a ton of damage and is pretty consistent, because in the speedrun, the sun and the moon is basically always going to be in like the same places. In the same fights, just because of the time element. Who is Father Mother? Are they an NB character? Kind of. The game uses he, him pronouns for him. But his name is Father Mother. And in the first game, he was a character that basically was a serial kidnapper who stole a bunch of people's children and raised them as his own. Gat, Rimat, Potts, and Therium, the guy we're about to meet, are all some of Father Mother's children. Quote-unquote children that he stole from people. But yeah, low-key an NB character, but yeah, the game uses he, him pronouns for him. It's a really interesting sort of concept, honestly. Okay, so now I'm in the Corwood Woods, and gonna be using one shot of my ammo on this guy just to get the fight started, but I'm gonna be saving the rest of the ammo in that gun for the next fight, which I'm gonna be needing a lot of it for. Okay, that actually went really well. That fight can be really annoying. Something about the sort of geometry of that character, like, has a really hard time hitting him. So I'm going to be using the Sun Moon Gauntlet and hopefully hitting them both. I only hit one of them though. The other guy decided he did not want to follow me. So it's going to slow down this fight just a little bit. From the wiki, it does not have a definite gender. Okay, yeah, well that's cool. I didn't know that it was confirmed, so that's awesome. Thank you for looking that up. So yeah, so now we're gonna continue and head out and meet my best friend Therium, my little soft boy here. Here he is. And he, after the end of the first game, basically what happened was the reveal that all of Father Mother's children were kidnapped. They weren't actually his children, their children. And some of Gat's siblings have decided to like reunite with their like real parents. And so that's why Therium is out here in the Corwood Woods, because his mom decided to become something called a Corwood. And Corwoods are really interesting characters that live in these woods, and they're essentially people that have decided that they are living outside of even like Zenozoik social norms, and most of them will like choose one thing, like one rule, and live their entire life by that rule. So, for example, there's one called Oximeter, who his whole thing is that he walks in a straight line and never stops. So Therium's mother is a Corwood, and her whole thing is that she wants to make artwork out of Wrathbird corpses, so he's thinking that if he helps her, like if she helps her get enough of these corpses, maybe she'll snap out of it, and so we're sort of helping him do that to try and snap his mom out of it. So here's his mom. I'm gonna spend some skill points here that I went a little out of my way to get, and here we go. So, this is actually one of just like a handful of unskippable cutscenes in the game. Most of them are pretty short though, which is nice, but yeah, this one's unskippable. The good news is though, is that now I've recruited Therium into our cool kid squad here, our little rebel cell group, and So now our goal is to learn more about the golems, because they're sort of unkillable. Sort of. I say sort of because the golems essentially have this ability to bind themselves to other people so that anytime they feel pain, they both do. And the golem has done that with us, with Gat. So I can't kill him or else I will also die, basically. And so I'm traveling around learning as much as I can about the golems in order to figure out how to actually kill him effectively. Okay, so now I'm heading to the shore because Father Mother told us about an outpost where there's rumored to be like more golem stuff. But to do that we need to get a boat, so going to the boat, going to the shore. This is one really sort of pretty easy skip. You're supposed to activate this thing by using the Sun Moon Gauntlet, but whoops, you can slip off of it apparently. You can just go around it. So, okay, here's another unskippable cutscene. Oh, Xenoblade 2 also does that. See, we're getting so much in common between these two games. They're basically the same universe, I think.
Here we could get away from that island Father Mother told us about.
Okay, so in this segment, we're going to be reuniting with Deidre, who is she's the co-op character from the first game. If I remember correctly, I don't think she's one of Father Mother's children, but a couple of other people that are here are. And she, essentially, her solution to the Golem's Law was to... Oops, I got stuck there. Was to simply leave Halcedon, which is the main town, and start their own town. And so they've decided they're going to make their own town over there next to the dead whale corpse for whatever reason, as we do. The Xenos don't have to make sense to us. Okay, so I got the key, and now this is a fight that can go a couple different ways. I've recently discovered a brand new setup, which is much more consistent. So I'm just gonna immediately deal damage to this guy. Hopefully he falls off, and he did. And then kill the giant enemy from up here. I play with controller, and so aiming can be a little bit finicky, but I actually did a pretty good job there, not missing anything. While I'm still up here, I'm going to use my last ammo, just sort of cleaning up some of these enemies. And as you can see, Therium is down there. He was my companion that we recruited earlier, and now I brought him into the fight to help make the fight a little easier. So we're just going to beat up all these random strangers who are here for some reason. And that actually was really fast. I believe there's one more enemy over here, though. They're showing red on the map, but... Okay, but we don't care about that because we need this guy's gun, and unfortunately our other AI companions were really efficient at their job, and so they killed him before I could even figure out where his gun is. That guy has a gun, and so normally I will knock it out of his hands and then take that gun into this next area. But I didn't get it, so I'm gonna have to get a backup.
I've seen one.
Okay, luckily there is a backup right here. It's not quite as good as the gun because it breaks slightly faster than the other one runs out of ammo, and it swings slightly slower than it is to reload the gun. But this is the thing I'm going to take to the next boss fight. So here are the golem ruins that they were talking about, where I'm literally just looking for more information about how to kill golems, basically, and exploring. And the statues come to life, because of course they do. And this is something that I think is a bit more meaningful if you play the first game, because the shadows are the enemies that show up where you first meet Golem. And so essentially they just take that as a good sign that there's Golem stuff here. We're gonna skip past all this juicy lore and run straight to the boss, managing my stamina. Since this is a two-handed weapon, though, I want to be very careful not to spam inputs as I'm swinging it, because that can lead to a really unfortunate, what are we calling it, Pikal? Squish lock? A squish lock, where it will stop my character from moving or attacking until they next take damage, which, as you imagine, not being able to move is a bit of a problem. A hint about killing golems, hit them with a damn hammer? Yeah. Okay, so this fight is pretty straightforward. It's just a couple cycles long, and we use our moon gauntlet. So the reason that I'm able to actually just like fight this golem, whereas the other golem I can't, oh, he's holding my hammer for me, that's funny, is because for whatever reason this golem has gone like feral. And there's like a, I don't know if you can see, there's like a seagull in his head, like living in his body. It's sort of implied that the seagull is like controlling his corpse, which is just hilarious to me. Okay, I wasn't able to, I actually did that fast enough that my cooldown for the moon gauntlet wasn't up yet, so I actually just had to punch him instead. And I don't know where my hammer went, so I'm just gonna beat him up normally. And there's the first boss. That was actually a really good boss. This is why you never trust birds, yeah.
Another golem weapon.
Okay, so now I have another golem weapon, like you heard Gat so helpfully tell us, which is the golem glove, or gauntlet, I think. And this allows us to bind two things together, sort of like the golems can do. And this is something that is going to end up eventually leading us to being able to beat the golem. But now we simply have to return and use it. Okay, these guys can be jerks that body block you. It actually wasn't too bad there. I've had that, those enemies be real bad jerks with body blocking down that hallway. Okay, so now we just have to walk all the way back to the shore. There's a few segments of this game that are essentially just long strolls. I'm actually going to go ahead and swap to the Sun Moon Glove because I'm going to have to be using it next to get to a different region. Okay, heading back to the coast. He's been ratatouille'd? Yeah, no, he's been seagull-atouille'd. Something happened. More Xenoblade similarities. They're adding up, Pakal. They're adding up. Xenoblade also has walking. Does it also have characters in it? And enemies? Because that's a lot of things in common, let me just say. Okay, so now we go to the Rathbird Fields. The Rathbird Fields is a really cool region. I think it's really cool looking. In the casual playthrough, you spend a lot of time here because it's sort of like the connecting area between a lot of different regions. But in the speedrun, this is the only time we go here. So just gonna reset my stamina again. Xenoblade is land sharks with feet. That sounds like something that's probably in this game. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move this boulder. You can only do this if you have Therium in your party, and it just gives us some extra skill points. And now I'm going to trigger a cutscene from like really far away from it because I think it expects you to come at it from a different angle. So Golem has essentially sent these mercenaries out to hunt us down. But funnily enough, we never have to fight them. We can literally just ignore them and move on with our lives. Okay, so now my stamina, or my strength rather, is full. So I've maxed out the amount of damage I can do in this game. And next up is the desert, which has two skips, probably the only like actual skips in the game. And one of them is extremely minor, but one of them lets us skip a whole boss. Okay, so right here at the beginning of Desert, I'm going to be running into a rock and hoping the physics cooperates with me and gets me up on this platform. Okay, part 1 complete. Come on. There we go. That was okay. There's a much easier, more consistent way to get that skip, but it's a little bit slower. So I went for the faster way. Okay, I'm going to do a ledge boost. That's something that you can do off certain ledges. You can do a specific attack if you have Rage Meter, and it will send you yeeting off the map. There's lots of places in this game where you can use it to get out of bounds. It's just not super useful. Okay, so now we have this really cool boss that we're going to skip. So I'm going to just link these things together to open the gate. And I like to call the skip Footloose Skip because we use the boss's foot to get loose. So hopefully I can time this such that I get a good cycle here. And, oh wait, almost got it first try. Hold on, let's go. Gaming. Gaming. Oh no! Come on, third try. There we go, third try footloose skip. So I'm actually out of bounds right now. Actually I'm technically in bounds, but I got around the boss arena to just go to the next area, because that portal that takes us to Endworld is already active. Okay, so this segment's really interesting, and it has a little bit of a cycle-based situation that I've been messing up a lot lately, so let's hope I get this. So essentially I just have to light 2 fuses that are in different parts of the map, and I'm going to be doing some blind movement. I only recently discovered that you can do blind moment during this cutscene, so I'm just using that to get closer to where I'm going. And activate this thingy. This game has lots of thingies. Doohickeys, one might say. Okay, I'm going to try and kite these enemies a little bit over here and hopefully get this on the first cycle. Hopefully get this on the first cycle. Oh no, I missed! I missed. It's actually better to hesitate here and wait for it to come around than to shoot it and miss. So I went ahead and waited. Okay, so now hopefully I can get some more blind movement here. And get to the portal. Okay, there we go. Got it. Alright, now this segment's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to be doing a puzzle, lighting some lights, connecting some orbs as we do, punching said orbs. Okay. And now I have to wait on my cooldown of my gauntlet. The gauntlet has a handy little indicator that shows us the cooldown just on it. Okay. Wait on a door. Okay, and this is actually the area that was one of the final areas you go to in the first game. It's the exact same place. This is actually where the golem that took over Halstedom, where he was when we like awoke him from his slumber. So we are essentially here to try and, I can't remember actually, I think we came here looking for the golem or something. And then we find a deep dark secret about our world. So, Orb Knight, yes, so many orbs. We punch orbs here. That's what we do. Big stompy footstep audio? Yeah, you'll be hearing a lot of that in this run. Okay, so this fight's nice. I have 2 bombs, which is really good. The bombs are really useful against these mechanical enemies because they won't run away from the bombs like humanoid enemies will. So I'm just gonna connect them and then hit them both with bombs to do as much damage to both of them as possible. Oh no, my attack missed. These enemies, this fight is really annoying. Oh, I ran out of stamina. That's fine. Let's go ahead and finish. I'm linking these 2 specific enemies because they are, oh my god, the biggest jerks here, and I missed that again. Okay. So far, so okay. Those enemies will explode when they die, so I always try to punch them into groups of enemies if I can. Alright, so yeah, as you can see, now that I have this glove, I can link enemies in combat, and use that to my advantage to just do as much damage as possible. Okay, so now we just walk down a really long hallway. More similarities. I think they're actually the same game. We're gonna see, I'm gonna go through a portal and walk out, and I'm gonna be playing, we'll have been playing Xenoblade 2 all along. So essentially we found this secret passage here, which is interesting because you might notice that this area is called Endworld. That's because everybody in Zenozoik thinks that this is the end of the world. But as it turns out, the golem was hiding stuff from us, and that there is land past the end of the world. And so, and now it's time for a spooky moment. Look at these strange artifacts that look like they're from another world. Now we're gonna have a nice little surreal, quiet, contemplative moment. These cutscenes are unskippable, so this is a nice little resting point in the run before the boss. Because the next boss is the one that keeps murdering me when I'm on world record pace, so, you know. It's good to have a moment of contemplation. Alright, another strange artifact from a world very unlike Zenozoik. I've definitely joked before that this is the room from Kingdom Hearts 2. And that this is also in the Kingdom Hearts universe. Okay, just one more strange artifact that we definitely don't know what it is or what it's for. This room looks very different, yeah? Spooky. Spooky vaporwave room. I'm just gonna do a little slow motion taunt animation here. Okay, now it's time for Texte, the Golem. The art style in this game is super interesting. Yeah, I super agree. I absolutely love the art direction in this game. Okay, I'm gonna grab this last skill point of the run and head to the boss. So what gets revealed here is that essentially all of Zenozoik, like our whole world, is like not a simulation, but it's like a social experiment. That the world is definitely more modern and more normal outside the walls of Zenozoik, and the golems, there are 4 of them, were put here to stop us from getting out. So we're just essentially like a weird zoo. Okay, so far this boss has gone really, really well. There's a whole mechanic in this boss where you're supposed to use the golem gauntlet to bind the golem to that orb over there, which gives me like infinite rage meter. But I actually don't need it at all. I can just burst him down with this hammer. And at least until I run out of hammer. So far this has been going really well. I had a lot of really bad luck with this boss lately. That was really, really good. That was extremely good boss fight. Excellent, excellent. Get over here, sunlight, yeah. You're not supposed to stare at the sun, but apparently Gat didn't get that memo. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and get this other hammer, because it's going to be useful for this next split. A lot of this run is routing in weapons and then carrying them over long distances into totally different regions of the game. Okay, so even though we were bound to Golem, I think what happens there is he unbinds himself from us so that he can stop us, so that he can hit us. And then we damage Golem. And he essentially changes his mind and decides to help us. But in order to do that, we have to fix the Golem that we just broke. And so now we're going to go try to find a third Golem to find some spare Golem parts to fix him. I'm not sure Gat gets any memos. Yeah, he probably doesn't check his email very often. Better not squish lock on the boss. I think so far I have not squish locked on the boss, surprisingly, even though it's using a two-handed weapon. Okay, still super cheesed with how that boss went. The rest of the run has been very meh, but that boss went awesome. The golems are robots. Yeah, they're sort of like pseudo-biomechanical, like kind of organic, mostly mechanical. Yeah. If I remember correctly, he has like... I'm trying to remember why we have to fix him. I honestly should replay this casually to remember the lore a little bit better. But I think if he dies, everyone in Zenozoik dies or something. So it's like a doomsday switch sort of thing. Xenoblade has robots? No way. No freaking way. Okay, we're gonna go back to the woods. Because now we are heading to a place called the Pink Tower, which is a place the Golem told us about. And the Pink Tower is the home of the East Golem, who is known for experimenting on people. Basically, all of the Golems have been here for like millennia, and what has caused all of the conflict of this game is that they get bored and start messing with the population, basically. And they cope with it in very different ways. So the golem that we killed in the first boss essentially just like wasted away and died because he was so bored. And then he like lost his mind, I think. And the North Golem, which is the one we just fought, he essentially started introducing laws and like trying to like change the way that people live, like having more of a role in their lives. And we'll see more about the other golems here in a moment. But yeah, this one ended up experimenting on people.
There he is, the man with two heads.
Alright, the man with two heads. So the man with two heads allegedly knows how to get to the Pink Tower. So we met the man with two heads, who is definitely a man. He's a little man. I don't know if you saw him. We'll see him in a moment. Gotta go fast, so I can't really stop to appreciate. Alright. And so the man with two heads is hiding from these enemies called the Singers. They're Corwids, whose whole thing is that they're trying to like sing a perfect like harmony or something. And so if we knock them out, the man with two heads will come with us. So we're essentially taking care of his problems. I'm going to be using this hammer and the moon gauntlet, and again, trying very, very hard not to, whoops. Trying very, very hard not to spam inputs with my attacks. Because that is what can lead to the squish lock. Okay. We're going to do a nice little climby climb through their lovely treehouse and enact violence on people minding their own business. Okay, oh my gosh! Speaking of violence, that usually doesn't happen. Okay, so I'm gonna try and kick her off, but it looks like it's not gonna behave. Oh, there we go. And because I'm low in health, I'm gonna take this safely. Oh, I still took some damage there, but that's okay. Okay, now one last person to defeat here. Okay. Uh-oh. Ideally, you want to keep her on the ground as much as possible because she's a very acrobatic fighter and can just do some really devastating attacks. But I did pretty good. I was playing it a little bit safe there because my health is a little bit low. But there we go. Now we can go get the man with two heads. Are you ready to see the man? Look at this man. He's just a little guy. And he's going to be our friend. He's going to be the last ally that we recruit in this run. And he's gonna help us out in the final boss, so thanks little dude. Interestingly, they only ever refer to him in the like text as the man with two heads, but his like title card in combat is the Easterner, which is just very interesting that he's got like two different names. You hate that little guy? Oh no, you better be nice to him. He's just a little guy. Don't hurt his feelings. Okay, so once again we have probably the longest little stroll in this game, a lovely frolic across the woods. Gonna be heading all the way back to the other side of the map, back to the canyon. Which is here. I almost forgot where I was supposed to be going. Welcome Raiders, thank you so much for checking out the stream. Okay, yeah, so this segment is pretty straightforward. I'm mostly just running and using my stamina wisely. That is our special boy. That is you're so right. Okay, getting close to the end of the game. Only two more bosses. Two more bosses. So many places where things can go wrong. Alright, more loading screens. Okay, so everything's going good. We're headed to the Pink Tower, and coincidentally walking right past the Father-Mother's hideout as we do so. I'm sure nothing went wrong while we were gone. And Father-Mother's perfectly fine and happy in their hideout.
Yeah.
Oh no! A shocking surprise and turn of events. So it turns out that while we were gone, somebody found Father-Mother's hideout and took him somewhere. But the sort of funny thing is that because of the sort of imminent danger of the North Golem dying and killing everyone in the Zenozoik, instead of worrying about Father Mother at all, we're just like, oh well, better keep going to the Pink Tower. Alright, I'm gonna... Oh, that guy is normally not in the way like that. Wow, those guys decided to be big-time jerks today. Normally, so that enemy will shoot grenade launcher pellets at you during that cutscene, and sometimes it can just cause random time loss like that. Sometimes he'll be really nice and just like run into the other dude and drop his gun. Can't say Father Mother's dead. See, exactly. Okay, so now I'm going up a bunch of elevators, basically, and trying not to fall off, which seems easy, but has some complications. Okay, gotta dodge a rock. Rock dodged. This section is so interesting to me because I'm like, all these people are super aggro at me for some reason, and I don't know whatever I did to them. Okay, we're gonna go up this... There's some RNG with where this one enemy is in this tunnel, and he's in here fighting shrimps, which is fine with me. These shrimps can body block us, so let's say shrimpers no shrimping today. Goodbye. No. Stop. Please let me through. Please. Good lord. Okay, the shrimpening occurred here today. Okay, so this one's a little bit more challenging because these enemies can be really mean. If I miss this cycle, which I think I got it, cool, we're good. Sometimes those enemies will just body block you after you trigger the elevator. Sometimes they will just instantly kill you. Sometimes you can accidentally bind it to one of the enemies instead of the orb, and then you have to punch them. That little segment is like surprisingly inconsistent. You like the shrimp? No, the shrimp are my enemy. Alright, so we're at the Pink Tower, and as you can see, there's a lot more of these two-headed guys, so this is where he was originally from and why he knew where to go. Because it turns out that the East Golem built this giant facility to experiment on people and like do gene splicing and stuff, which is why, as it turns out, that after him doing this over thousands of years, it's why there's so many very strange-looking people in Zenozoik, because of the gene splicing and stuff he's been doing. So yeah, so essentially I just have to go flip this switch to open this door. I am extremely convinced that there's a way to skip this, but I've spent many hours trying to figure it out and haven't gotten anything. So if there's any talented glitch hunters out there, I super invite you to help me out with this game. There's some spots that are ripe for being so close to being really big skips found in this game. Okay, so now we run down a bridge. This is basically just run in a straight line, this section. There is one spot where it's possible to fall off, though, so here's hoping I don't get that. So I punched that orb because, as you can see, my screen is red now. That's because it essentially puts me in rage mode, which gives me infinite stamina. So by punching that one time, I have enough stamina to make it all the way across the bridge, and I didn't fall off, in fact. These lasers are a thing that is really annoying when playing through this casually and trying to fight these enemies. But the cycle is such that we can actually just fully ignore it and just keep running in a straight line, and the cycle just works out, which is really handy. Alright, there we go. We're gonna trigger a cutscene, and boom. Pink Tower here. Alright, so now we have this lovely... This game gives us another little lovely rest before the boss. A very long, very OSHA-approved elevator. Turns out the Pink Tower is just an elevator. Okay, this is the hardest boss in the game. By far. Are you ready? Wish me luck.
Be prepared, Renat. He might attack us just like the other ones.
And done. Easy. The most relatable boss in the game. Somebody walks up to talk to me and
But
I perish.
It's the South Golem.
do you trust him?
You see,
Alright, so now, so obviously we weren't able to get any parts from him because he's melted and also completely crumbled away over time through the ages of just sitting there being bored like all the golems are. So yeah, that was it. That was the third boss. Gaming. Okay, so now that we did that, you saw briefly in the cutscene there the South Golem, the final Golem, showed himself to us. We haven't seen him since very, very early in the game. And he essentially tells us that he has the solution to our problems and to go meet him in Halstedom or something. So that's what we're doing because we don't have anything else to go off of. We don't know who took Father Mother. We don't know what to do because Golem is still dying. I believe off screen here the South Golem is actually just like repairing the North Golem for us, which is handy. You walked all the way here and all... Oh yeah, I walked all the way here and all I got was the dead Golem. Yeah. That's basically Gat's whole life at this point. He's literally explored every single corner of Zenozoik. Even though in the speedrun, this is actually a very open world game. There's a lot of really cool regions that we don't get to see at all in the speedrun. Interestingly. Okay, so back to Halstedom, finally, at long last. The prodigal children return. Remat's still with us. Alright, so everybody say hi to the dog. Hello, dog. Fortunately, you can't pet the dog in this game. We can only punch things. We cannot pet things. Okay, we're gonna skip this fight, but I am gonna steal the hammer from this guy because he very conveniently delivered it to us. Thank you, sir. Two-handed weapons, even though they are the easiest to cause glitches, they are my favorite weapons in the game for just damage efficiency. And it's really going to be useful in this next fight. Is there a dog in Xenoblade, Pakal? Okay, so this is one of the bigger fights in the game. This last segment is just a few really large fights. What I'm going to be doing is running straight over here and kiting them over to this slope because it's really great for grouping up the enemies and hitting multiple of them at once. And also doing things like funnel... Oh, he threw a grenade right off the bat. Wow, that usually doesn't happen. Doing things like funneling grenades down the hill so that they hit them instead of me. Oh no. Ow. Also, there's a guy with a grenade launcher who's a meanie head. Okay, normally I don't have the grenade launcher for this part of the fight, so I'm a little bamboozled here. Okay, I'm actually gonna use the Sun Moon Gauntlet here. This fight does require a decent amount of improvisation. There we go. Whoa, I thought, my cooldown's not up. Whoops. Wow, these guys are being little jerks today with throwing all of these grenades. Like, rude dudes. Okay. Now there's one more enemy that tends to get stuck on stuff. Yeah, he's all the way over here. This is literally just AI RNG. Sometimes this enemy will, like, run straight into combat, and sometimes he will do what he just did and mind his own business until the very end. Yeah, it's really annoying. Ideally, he comes and joins the fight, because then I don't have to run halfway across the map to fight him. But nah, he decided not to today. That guy looks like someone shelled an armadillo. Oh god. Okay, so now we do another little walk here, a little walkie walk to meet the South Golem outside of town. For some reason, Gat hasn't put together the fact that the South Golem almost certainly is the person who captured Father Mother. As it turns out, the South Golem has sort of been secretly manipulating everything behind the scenes to try and essentially morally test the people of Zenozoik, because his whole thing is that he wants them to prove themselves to be, like, civilized. And to do that, we have to pass these weird tests that he's set up for us. And all of this stuff with the North Golem and the other Golems, it was literally just to, like, see if we could grow as whatever his version of what he thinks a good person is. And so now he essentially brings together all of the parents of the father-mother's children and the father-mother, and has this like trial where he has us pick between them or father-mother. Like essentially the quote-unquote real parents versus the one who like raised us, and we pick father-mother and we fail his test, and so now we get to fight the parents of all of our friends, including Therium's mom there. We get our own dad here, and it's just a giant fight all around. Okay. And I'm going to be using all of my tools at my disposal here to just do as much damage as possible. And clean them up. Okay, where is everybody? Hello? Oh, they're over here. I went ahead and summoned Rimat for that fight, because she's really good at keeping some of the enemies sort of over here, which makes it a lot easier to sort of take them out one at a time. Grouping them is really nice for the Sun Moon Glove, and somehow that missed all of them, which is really unfortunate because they were right there. Definitely hit them, but whatever. Hitboxes are a thing, I guess. Jeez. Is it the moon? The moon does move over time, so it's something that you have to be aware of if the fight's like taking longer than normal. Oh my god, this guy's at full health. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? Alright, we got through it though. That was less than ideal. Mostly because that one Sun Moon Glove missed. PTA meetings get brutal in Zenozoik. That is so true. Yeah, that's effectively what that is, I guess. That's the PTA meeting fight. But yeah, so we chose to rescue Father-Mother instead. And I guess now the South Golem is like, well, guess you have to fight me, the ultimate enemy. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna go run and do the final boss. You can actually get a grenade launcher through the wall right there, and that is sort of like the older strat for the game, but I very recently changed the strat a little bit to, instead of the grenade launcher, actually get this little pea shooter that we got at the very beginning of the game. And that's because the boss takes weird... You might have noticed this from the other bosses. They take very non-linear amounts of damage from weapons. So, like, certain types of weapons damage the boss very, very differently. And I feel like the vibe is, anyway, that all gun hits do, like, the same amount of damage to the boss, just about. And the grenade launcher has a huge reload time and only 3 shots, and so getting this gun is just better in my opinion. But there's some flexibility to sort of preference. You don't have to have a gun during the fight at all either. In fact, I think in my PB I just forgot to get one, so. Okay, so this boss has a lot of mechanics going on at once. I am going to be linking together the boss and the other golem here, because it's going to cause him to break the link, which is what we want to happen. I'm going to summon our two-headed man. Okay, we're going to get some pot shots off with a gun, and then him breaking the link causes him to drop the hammer, which is the most powerful way to do damage to the boss, as you can see. Now, him blocking is essentially just RNG. He'll either block an attack or he won't. And he's blocking basically every attack because, of course, he is. I'm going to pick the gun back up. And right now, I'm essentially just trying to get him to a 3rd health, because that essentially is what brings us to the next cycle, or the next phase, I guess I should say. Okay, there we go. I just needed one more hit, and we're going to use the Moon Gauntlet, get an extra free hit with the hammer, and move on to the next phase. And now we have to listen to his lovely villain monologue here.
Not because you care about the Xenos. We know you don't. And to defend borders, people are too primitive to cross anyway.
This boss is extremely finicky and extremely unpredictable. So if I'm a little bit quiet, it's because I'm focusing.
light up on their magnets.
Oh, I got the triple hit there. That almost never happens. Sometimes when you hit on just the right angle with a two-handed weapon, you can get multiple hits with one swing, which is super awesomely incredible on this boss. I also got really lucky and got a glitch that I got to keep the hammer when I'm not supposed to have it. And if I could hit him one more time, thank you. Please. I got the game in a semi-glitch state. I'm about to die, I believe. Hold on. Not dead yet.
To a lifetime of service. No.
There we go. The game was confused about whether I had anything in my hands or not just now. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep on hitting him, and actually I might be able to kill him without engaging in one of the mechanics of the fight. So, time is coming up. Now. GG! Okay, that actually was a quite good boss fight. Not an ideal boss fight. It's very hectic and there's a lot of stuff going on that's really hard to explain. But, yeah, that was a squishlopsicle. Yep, that was like the less bad of the squishlocks. Yay! That was it. That was Zeno Clash II. It's a really interesting run in an absolutely deeply fascinating game. I absolutely love the plot of the Zeno Clash games and just the world and the characters. It's just so strange and beautiful in a very interesting way. One of my favorite games of all time, and so it's really, thank you everybody for having me here and for letting me show the run off to you all. It's not technically a scary game, but maybe a little bit of a Halloween-ish vibe, so I thought it was a good choice for their showcase. So yeah, just to sort of, to summarize, I've been Roadkill. You can find me at twitch.tv/RoadkillRevenge, also on Twitter with the same username. I speedrun, my main speed game is the Spyro Reignited trilogy, but I also play random indie games here and there. And yeah, I agree, we should do a Zeno block soon. But yeah, so I speed random. I have very sporadic schedule, but I really enjoy speedrunning, and especially indie games that don't have like a huge speedrun scene. It's just really fun to sort of, you know, work on a game that doesn't have much love, I guess. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in this game. I'd love to talk about it. I'm hopefully going to be routing the co-op run soon, so that's a thing that you can be excited about. There is co-op, and so that's gonna be a new thing. This run was 40 seconds off world record. Wow, okay, cool. That is good to know. I'm so close to the world record too. What was I gonna say? There's another thing I was gonna say. Yeah, so, oh, and feel free to, if you like this run, if you like me, think I'm cool, feel free to follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. I'm like an inch away from affiliate, and I'm gonna hit it so soon, and I'm very excited about that. So
Awesome.
Yeah, that's about all I got.
Great run, great run. Thank you so much for that. That was super cool.